In a quiet village surrounded by snowy mountains, there lived a boy named Ravi. He was not like other children. While most children stayed in warm houses near their families, Ravi chose to live in a huge tree near the river. The tree was very old, with thick branches and strong roots that seemed to touch the earth and sky at the same time. From the ground, it looked like a natural castle. The villagers often laughed at Ravi. They could not understand why a boy would leave the comfort of a warm house and sleep among the cold winds and snow. Why does he stay there in the cold? He must be crazy, they said to each other. Even the children joined in. They threw snowballs at the tree and shouted, "Come down, Ravi. You will freeze. Why do you live like a bird?" Ravi did not answer them. He had learned long ago that people often did not understand those who were different. He wrapped himself in thick blankets and climbed higher in the tree. From up there, he could see the whole village and the sparkling river that ran past it. The view was beautiful, and the silence made him feel safe. Ravi was not lonely, even though many thought he was. Birds often came to sit on his branches, chirping and singing. Squirrels ran along the trunk and nibbled on the nuts Ravi kept for them. At night, the stars shone brightly, and the moonlight touched his little treehouse. Ravi loved the feeling of being closer to nature than to the busy village below. People often wondered how he survived the cold. The truth was that Ravi was very clever. He had built a small shelter among the branches. It was not fancy, but it kept him warm. He used old blankets, dry leaves, and small wooden boards he collected from the forest. He even had a tiny fire pit made with stones where he could cook simple meals safely. Ravi liked simple food like rice, vegetables, and nuts, which he collected or sometimes got from the kind villagers who cared for him secretly. During the day, Ravi would explore the nearby forest. He knew every tree, every stream, and every path. He could climb the tallest trees without fear, and he knew where to find fresh water and safe food. Some villagers were amazed when they saw him walking through deep snow without slipping. They whispered, "How does he survive this cold alone?" Even though many mocked him, Ravi was happy. He did not care about the laughter because he had a dream. He wanted to show everyone that living differently could be wise and even magical. He believed that sometimes people think only one way is correct, but the truth can be seen in many ways. One morning, the snow covered the village in a thick white blanket. The wind blew sharply, and most villagers stayed inside their houses. They looked at Ravi in the tree and shook their heads. "Look at him. He must be freezing," they said. But Ravi was fine. He had learned to protect himself from the cold. He wore many layers, and he had made small windbreaks from tree branches. He even had a small collection of herbs that could keep him warm. As he watched the villagers from above, he smiled quietly to himself. Ravi loved the early morning. The sun rose behind the mountains, turning the sky orange and pink. The snow sparkled like tiny diamonds. From his tree, Ravi could see the river reflecting the colors. Sometimes, he would see deer drinking from the river or foxes moving quietly through the forest. He felt a connection with the world that others did not understand. At school, children would often tease him. They called him the tree boy and laughed when he answered questions differently. But Ravi was smart. He listened carefully, learned everything he could, and practiced what he learned in the forest. He knew that knowledge was important, but understanding the world in your own way was even more powerful. One day, a small girl named Meena came to the river near Ravi's tree. She was curious about him because she had never seen anyone live in a tree. Most children were scared, but Meena wanted to see how he managed everything. Ravi noticed her and smiled. "Hello," he called gently. "Do not be afraid. The tree is safe." Meena climbed carefully up the lower branches. "I wanted to see how you live," she said. "It looks cold and scary." Ravi laughed softly. "It is cold sometimes, but I am careful. I have learned how to stay warm. And the view is wonderful." Meena looked around. The treehouse was small but cozy. There were blankets, a little wooden table, and even a shelf with books and tools. Birds were flying around, and a squirrel was nibbling on a nut. "It is amazing," Mina said. "I never knew someone could live like this and be happy." Ravi nodded. "People often laugh at what they do not understand. That is why many villagers mock me. But I am fine. I have friends in nature, and I can take care of myself." Mina smiled. "I want to learn from you. Can you teach me?" Ravi's eyes brightened. "Yes, I can teach you. But you must promise to respect nature and be careful. Living like this is not easy. You need patience and courage." Mina agreed, and from that day, she started visiting Ravi regularly. She learned how to climb safely, how to collect clean water, and how to observe the animals without frightening them. The villagers noticed that Mina had changed. She was braver and happier. Some started wondering if Ravi's way of life was not so strange after all. Even though the villagers still mocked him, Ravi continued living in his tree. He knew that one day, they would see the value in his choices. He also knew that happiness and courage were more important than laughter or approval from others. The snow melted slowly, the sun shone brighter, and Ravi continued his life in the tree, always learning, exploring, and dreaming. The villagers began to watch him with curiosity instead of just mockery. They did not understand him yet, but change was beginning in small ways. And deep inside, Ravi knew that something special was going to happen that would make everyone stop laughing and start respecting him. The winter in the village grew stronger each day. Snow fell thickly, covering roofs, roads, and fields. The river near Ravi's tree froze in parts, and the wind blew sharply from the mountains. Most villagers stayed inside their houses, keeping warm by fires. They shook their heads whenever they saw Ravi in the tree. "Look at him," an old man said. "He is up there in the cold again. He will get sick for sure." Children whispered and laughed, but Ravi paid no attention. He had learned to survive in harsh weather. He wrapped himself in layers of blankets and wore a thick coat made from wool he had collected over the year. He had a small fire pit in his treehouse, which kept him warm, and he always stored extra wood to prepare for long nights. Ravi's life was not only about staying warm. He spent hours observing the river and the forest. He noticed changes in the animals and the trees. He knew which paths were safe to walk on when the snow covered the ground. He even built small markers using sticks and stones, so he would not get lost. Ravi loved the winter because it made him stronger and smarter. One morning, a strong windstorm hit the village. Snow swirled through the air, and the villagers hurried to close their windows and doors. The roads became dangerous, and anyone outside risked slipping or getting lost. Some animals even moved closer to the village, searching for food. Ravi felt the wind but was not afraid. He checked his fire, rearranged blankets, and made sure his treehouse was safe. He also noticed that some small animals were struggling to find shelter in the snow. Birds and squirrels were cold and hungry. Ravi carefully dropped food for them. He knew that helping others was important, even if they were small and could not speak. In the village, people began to worry. A group of children had wandered too far while playing in the snow. They were lost in the forest. Parents shouted and ran outside, trying to find them. The snow was deep, and the cold was dangerous. Everyone felt anxious and helpless. Ravi saw the children from his tree. He climbed down quickly and ran through the forest with surprising speed. He knew every path, every tree, and every stone. The snow was heavy, but Ravi's boots were strong, and he moved carefully to avoid slipping. Birds flew alongside him, almost as if guiding him through the forest. Soon, Ravi found the children huddled near a small frozen stream. They were scared and shivering. "Do not worry," Ravi said calmly. "I will take you back to the village." The children were amazed. They had never seen anyone move so confidently in the snow. Ravi guided them through safe paths, avoiding thin ice and hidden holes. The villagers saw them returning and could not believe their eyes. The children were safe, thanks to Ravi. When they reached the village, parents ran to hug their children. "Thank you, Ravi," one mother said with tears. "You saved our children." The villagers were shocked. All their mockery vanished as they watched Ravi move through the snow with courage and skill. The boy they had laughed at for living in a tree had done something they could not do themselves. After that day, Ravi became different in the eyes of the village. Children still teased him sometimes, but now they also admired him. Parents nodded respectfully when they saw him. Even the village elders began to visit Ravi's tree to see how he lived and survived in the cold. Ravi, however, did not let this change him. He still enjoyed his quiet life in the tree. He helped animals, explored the forest, and watched the river. He also started teaching some of the children basic survival skills. They learned how to collect water safely, how to make small fires, and how to observe animals without disturbing them. Ravi enjoyed sharing knowledge. He knew that learning together made everyone stronger. One evening, Ravi noticed something unusual. The river was frozen in one part but flowing quickly in another. A group of ducks had gotten trapped on the ice. They could not move, and the cold was too dangerous for them. Ravi carefully climbed down the tree and approached the ducks. He made a small path in the ice using sticks and stones, guiding the ducks back to the flowing water. The villagers saw this too. They could not believe how much Ravi cared for every living creature. They began to understand that his choice to live in the tree was not foolish. It had given him knowledge, skill, and courage that others did not have. Even the children who had teased him before started helping him. They learned from Ravi, bringing food for the animals or helping him collect wood. They began to see the tree not as a strange place, but as a symbol of bravery and wisdom. Ravi's life in the tree became a story that everyone talked about. People began to realize that courage and intelligence could come in many forms. Living differently did not mean being wrong. In fact, sometimes it meant being stronger and wiser. As winter continued, Ravi faced more challenges. Heavy snowstorms, icy winds, and slippery paths tested him. But each challenge made him stronger. He learned new ways to protect himself and the animals around him. He taught Meena and a few other children how to stay safe and brave. One night, a very strong wind blew through the village. The storm was so fierce that even some roofs were damaged. Ravi climbed higher in his tree to check if everything was safe. From there, he saw a small barn at the edge of the village starting to collapse under the snow. A family of farmers was inside, worried and trapped. Without thinking twice, Ravi ran through the snow, guiding them to safety. His knowledge of the paths, his courage, and his calm mind saved the family from danger. When they reached safe ground, the villagers watched in amazement. "Ravi is incredible," said one elder. "We judged him wrongly. He is not foolish. He is wise and brave." From that day, Ravi's reputation changed completely. No one laughed at him for living in a tree anymore. They realized that his life in the tree had made him strong, kind, and intelligent. People began to admire him, and children wanted to learn from him. Ravi smiled quietly, knowing that the villagers' respect was not why he lived in the tree. He loved the tree, the river, the birds, and the quiet life that taught him lessons no house could. But he was happy that his actions had helped others see the value in being different. Winter slowly turned into spring, and Ravi continued his adventures. The village had learned an important lesson. Courage, kindness, and wisdom often come from the most unexpected places. And Ravi's story was only beginning. Something bigger and more surprising was waiting for him and the village, something that would make everyone amazed and proud. Spring arrived in the village, and the snow slowly melted. The trees began to bloom, and the river flowed freely once again. Birds returned from distant lands, and the forest was full of life. Ravi loved this time of year because it brought new opportunities for exploration and learning. His life in the tree had become peaceful, but he knew adventures were never far away. One morning, Ravi noticed something unusual near the riverbank. The water had receded, revealing a part of the forest floor that was normally hidden. Among the rocks and mud, he saw a small, shiny object glinting in the sunlight. Curious, he climbed down from his tree and walked carefully to the spot. It was a small, old metal box. The box was covered with mud and leaves, but it looked strong. Ravi cleaned it and examined it closely. There was a tiny lock, but no key. His mind raced with excitement. Ravi had read about treasures in books, but he never imagined he would find one himself. Ravi decided to take the box to his treehouse. He carefully carried it through the forest, avoiding slippery paths and sharp rocks. Once he reached his cozy shelter, he sat down and examined the box again. It seemed old, and he could see strange symbols engraved on it. Ravi realized that opening it would take patience and careful thought. Meanwhile, in the village, rumors began to spread. Some villagers had seen Ravi walking with the shiny box, and their curiosity grew. Children whispered to each other, "What does Ravi have? Could it be a treasure?" Adults shook their heads and said, "Ravi always finds something special. He is clever and brave." Ravi decided to try opening the box slowly. He looked at the lock and noticed a small pattern that matched some of the symbols on the box. He remembered the books he had read about puzzles and locks. Carefully, he pressed the right points in order, and the lock clicked open. Inside the box, he found several old scrolls, a small golden pendant, and a few shiny stones. The scrolls were written in an old language, but Ravi could recognize some words. They seemed to be a message from someone who had lived in the village long ago. The scrolls spoke about protecting the forest and helping people who respected nature. The golden pendant had a tiny engraving of a tree similar to Ravi's treehouse. Ravi realized the importance of what he had found. This was not just treasure for wealth. It was a treasure of knowledge and wisdom. He understood that someone had left these items to guide future generations, to help those who loved and respected nature. Ravi felt proud that he was the one to discover it. He decided to show the treasure to Meena first. She had been his closest friend and student. When she saw the box and the scrolls, her eyes widened. "This is amazing, Ravi. These scrolls must be very old. Maybe they contain secrets about the forest and the village." Ravi nodded. "Yes, Meena. I think we must read them carefully and learn. This treasure is not for us alone. It is for everyone who wants to understand the forest and live wisely." Together, Ravi and Meena began studying the scrolls. They discovered instructions on how to use the forest resources without harming nature. There were tips on collecting water, identifying edible plants, and even tracking animals safely. The scrolls also spoke about helping others and sharing knowledge, which was exactly what Ravi believed in. As they studied, Ravi had an idea. He wanted to teach the villagers what he had learned. He invited them to his tree one sunny morning. At first, many were skeptical. They still remembered the winters when they had laughed at him. But curiosity got the better of them. Slowly, they climbed to see Ravi's treehouse. Ravi showed them the scrolls and explained their meaning. He demonstrated how to collect water safely from the river and how to use plants for food and medicine. He also showed them how to build small shelters and protect animals during harsh weather. The villagers were amazed. They had never realized how much knowledge nature held. Ravi's teachings were simple but powerful. People began to respect the forest and understand the importance of living carefully. Children were excited to learn from him. Even some adults took notes and asked questions. Ravi felt happy, but he knew there was more to do. The scrolls also mentioned a hidden spot in the forest that held seeds of rare plants. These seeds could grow into strong trees that would help the village in many ways, from providing fruits to protecting the land from floods. Ravi decided to find these seeds. With Meena's help, Ravi followed the directions in the scrolls. They walked through dense parts of the forest, crossed small streams, and climbed hills. After a long search, they found a small, hidden cave. Inside, there were baskets filled with different seeds, carefully preserved. Ravi and Meena were thrilled. They carefully carried the seeds back to the village. Ravi explained to the villagers that these seeds could grow into strong trees that would provide food, shade, and protection. Everyone was eager to help plant them. Children dug small holes, and adults carefully placed the seeds in the soil. Ravi guided them, showing how to water and protect the young plants. Over the next weeks, the village changed. Young trees grew near homes, along paths, and by the river. The forest seemed stronger and more alive. Villagers who had once laughed at Ravi now admired him deeply. They understood that his knowledge, courage, and patience had made their lives better. Ravi never boasted about his discovery. He quietly worked with Meena and the villagers to protect the forest and help the animals. Birds and squirrels returned in larger numbers, and even deer could be seen closer to the village. The harmony between humans and nature grew stronger. One evening, Ravi looked at the river from his treehouse. The sun was setting, and the sky turned golden. He felt proud and happy. He had faced cold winters, storms, and ridicule, but he had shown courage and wisdom. His life in the tree had taught him lessons no ordinary house could. Meena joined him, holding a small bird that had hurt its wing. Ravi gently cared for it. "Look at how much we have learned and helped," she said. "You were right, Ravi. Living differently is not foolish. It can change the world." Ravi smiled. "Yes, Meena. And this is just the beginning. There is still so much to discover and share. The forest has more secrets, and we will learn them carefully and wisely." The villagers began to bring their children to Ravi's tree to learn. Some even built small platforms near their homes to observe nature better. Ravi's example had inspired a new way of thinking. People learned to respect animals, plants, and the river. They understood that wisdom came not from wealth or power but from observation, patience, and care. And Ravi's reputation grew beyond the village. Travelers passing through heard about the boy who lived in a tree and taught everyone how to live in harmony with nature. They were amazed and often stayed to learn from him. Ravi welcomed them all, always teaching, always observing, always learning. The treasure he found had changed not only his life, but the life of the entire village. It was a treasure of knowledge, courage, and kindness. And Ravi knew that more adventures awaited, more discoveries, and more lessons that could surprise everyone and make them even prouder. After spring had fully arrived, the village was full of life. Young trees were growing from the seeds Ravi and the villagers had planted, and flowers bloomed along the riverbank. Birds sang cheerfully, and the forest seemed peaceful. Ravi continued living in his tree, teaching Meena and other children about nature, survival skills, and the importance of helping others. One morning, heavy clouds covered the sky. Dark gray clouds rolled over the mountains, and the wind blew fiercely. Ravi watched carefully from his tree. The river, usually calm, began to rise quickly. He could see water rushing faster, carrying branches and leaves. Ravi immediately knew this was not ordinary rain. A flood could happen if the rain continued. Ravi quickly called Meena. "We must warn the villagers," he said. "The river is rising. If we do not act fast, houses near the river may be in danger." Meena ran through the village, knocking on doors and shouting warnings. At first, some villagers were skeptical. They thought the water would calm down, but when they saw the river growing and moving quickly, they realized the danger was real. Ravi climbed down from his tree and ran along the riverbank. He knew where the water would reach first. He called out to people near the low areas and guided them to higher ground. Children clung to their parents, frightened, and some animals tried to escape to safer areas. Ravi helped them all, his knowledge of the land making him faster and more effective than anyone else. The villagers began to work together under Ravi's guidance. They built small barriers with stones, moved belongings to higher places, and secured their animals. Ravi directed them to use sandbags, logs, and branches to slow the water. People who had once mocked him now followed his instructions carefully. As the rain continued, the river became even stronger. Water rushed into fields, and a few houses near the river started to flood. Ravi did not panic. He ran to the edge of the forest, finding fallen trees and large rocks to create temporary barriers. His careful planning and quick thinking saved many homes from major damage. Meena worked alongside Ravi, helping children and carrying small items to safety. She saw how brave and smart Ravi was. "You are amazing, Ravi," she said. "I never imagined someone could stay calm in such danger." Ravi smiled, but he focused on the task. "We must all stay calm and work together," he said. "Panic will make things worse. The river is strong, but we can be stronger if we help each other." Suddenly, Ravi noticed a family trapped on the lower side of the river. The water had risen quickly, cutting them off from safety. They were clinging to a tree, frightened and cold. Ravi did not hesitate. He ran to the nearest safe point, grabbed a long rope, and tied it securely to a tree. He shouted instructions to the family and carefully guided them across the rushing water, holding the rope tightly. One by one, they reached safety. The villagers watched in awe. When the storm finally passed after several hours, the village was wet and muddy, but most houses had survived. Some fences and small barns were damaged, but no one was seriously hurt. The villagers gathered near Ravi's tree, their faces full of respect and gratitude. "You saved our homes and our lives," an elder said. "We judged you wrongly before. You are not just living in a tree. You are protecting us all." Ravi shook his head humbly. "I only did what anyone should do. The river is part of our land. If we respect it and work together, we can protect ourselves. I am glad everyone is safe." The villagers could not stop talking about Ravi's courage. Children told stories of how he guided the family across the river. Adults shared how his instructions had saved their homes. Ravi's life in the tree was no longer seen as strange. It was now seen as a source of wisdom, courage, and hope. After the flood, Ravi and Meena worked with the villagers to repair the damage. They rebuilt fences, helped plant new crops, and even strengthened the riverbanks with stones and logs. Ravi used the knowledge from the ancient scrolls to suggest better ways to protect the village in the future. The villagers listened carefully, realizing that Ravi's ideas could prevent disasters before they happened. Even the children who had once laughed at Ravi began to see him as a hero. They wanted to learn from him, not just about survival but about courage, patience, and problem-solving. Ravi welcomed them all, showing them how to observe nature, understand the river, and help others in need. One day, Ravi climbed to the highest branch of his tree and looked at the village. The river sparkled under the sun, birds flew freely, and trees swayed gently in the breeze. Ravi felt proud, not because of the praise he received, but because he had helped others and protected the land he loved. Meena joined him, holding a small notebook. "I wrote down everything you taught us," she said. "One day, we can teach others too." Ravi nodded. "Yes, Meena. Knowledge grows when it is shared. That is the real treasure." The villagers continued to visit Ravi and his tree. They wanted to learn from him and also help preserve the forest and river. The flood had taught them a valuable lesson. Nature could be dangerous, but respect, knowledge, and teamwork could overcome even the strongest challenges. Ravi's life in the tree had once been mocked, but now it was admired by everyone. Children followed his advice, adults listened to his guidance, and even travelers passing through the village came to see him. Ravi remained humble, always remembering that his goal was to help others, protect nature, and continue learning. As spring turned into summer, Ravi continued to explore the forest, observe animals, and find new ways to live wisely. The flood had been a test, and he had passed it with courage and skill. But Ravi knew life would always bring new challenges. He was ready for them, confident in his knowledge, bravery, and the support of the villagers who had once doubted him. From that day on, the village celebrated Ravi not just as the boy who lived in a tree, but as a hero, a teacher, and a protector. His story became a symbol of courage, wisdom, and the power of being different. And Ravi knew that one day, an even greater adventure awaited, one that would surprise everyone and bring new lessons for the village and himself. Summer had arrived, and the village was full of life and color. The trees planted by Ravi and the villagers had grown taller, providing shade and fruit. Flowers bloomed along the riverbank, and birds filled the air with their cheerful songs. Ravi continued to live in his tree, teaching Meena and other children about nature, survival, and kindness. The villagers no longer laughed at Ravi. They respected him deeply, not only for his courage during the flood, but also for the knowledge he shared and the wisdom he had discovered in the forest. Children listened to him eagerly, and adults often sought his advice. Ravi had become the heart of the village in many ways. One bright morning, Ravi noticed unusual activity near the old river path. A group of villagers had come together, carrying baskets of flowers, fruits, and small gifts. They smiled at him as he climbed down from his tree. "Ravi," said the village elder, "we have something special for you. You have taught us so much, and you have protected our homes, our families, and even the animals. We want to celebrate you and your life in the tree." Ravi felt a warm glow in his heart. He had never expected this. All his life, he had been mocked for living differently. Now, the villagers wanted to honor him. Children ran around excitedly, helping decorate the area near his tree with colorful ribbons and flowers. Even the adults joined in, smiling and laughing together. Meena stood beside Ravi, holding a small notebook filled with notes about everything he had taught. "You deserve this, Ravi," she said. "Everyone can see how brave, smart, and kind you are." Ravi smiled humbly. "I only did what I thought was right. The forest and the river taught me these lessons. I am happy to share them with everyone." The celebration began. Villagers sang songs about the river, the forest, and the brave boy who lived in the tree. Children performed small plays showing Ravi rescuing the lost children during winter and guiding the family during the flood. Adults shared stories of how Ravi's advice had helped them plant trees, protect animals, and even avoid accidents during storms. Ravi watched quietly, feeling proud but calm. He did not need applause or praise. Seeing the village united, happy, and respectful of nature was enough for him. Meena whispered, "Ravi, look at everyone. They truly understand you now." Ravi nodded. "Yes, Meena. And it shows that being different is not wrong. Sometimes it brings knowledge, courage, and happiness that others cannot imagine." After the songs and stories, the elder gave Ravi a special gift. It was a small wooden plaque with a carving of a tree, the river, and a path leading through the forest. On it were the words, "To Ravi, who teaches us courage, wisdom, and kindness." Ravi held it carefully, feeling the love and respect of the entire village. But the celebration was not only about honor. Ravi wanted it to teach everyone more. He invited the villagers to explore the forest with him. Together, they visited his favorite spots, learned about plants, animals, and safe paths, and even found a hidden waterfall that sparkled like crystals in the sunlight. Children laughed and ran through the forest, discovering small animals and learning how to observe without disturbing them. Adults listened carefully, taking notes and asking questions. During the exploration, Ravi showed the villagers the tree where he lived. They climbed carefully to see his home. They were amazed at how cozy and practical it was. Blankets, shelves, and a small fire pit made the treehouse comfortable and safe. Some children asked if they could build tree houses too, and Ravi agreed to teach them, ensuring safety and respect for nature. The villagers realized that Ravi's life in the tree was not strange. It was wise and thoughtful. Living close to nature had given him strength, intelligence, and courage. They began to understand that differences were valuable, and people could teach lessons in many ways. At the end of the day, as the sun set, the villagers gathered near the river. Ravi sat on a large branch of his tree, watching the orange and pink sky reflected in the water. Meena sat beside him, holding a small bird they had rescued earlier. The village looked peaceful, happy, and united. The elder spoke again, smiling at Ravi. "You have changed our village, Ravi. You have taught us how to live wisely, protect nature, and help each other. We are grateful. Your tree is no longer just your home. It is a symbol of courage and learning for all of us." Ravi felt a deep joy. He realized that his choice to live differently had brought happiness and knowledge to many. The laughter and mockery of the past seemed far away. Now, people admired his courage, respected his wisdom, and appreciated his kindness. That night, the villagers lit small lanterns and placed them along the river. The light reflected in the water like 1,000 stars. They sang songs and shared food, celebrating life, learning, and unity. Ravi looked at the lanterns and felt proud. His life in the tree, once mocked and misunderstood, had become a source of inspiration. Meena whispered, "Ravi, this is the best adventure yet. We have helped the village, protected the forest, and shown everyone that courage and wisdom matter more than fear or laughter." Ravi nodded. "Yes, Meena. But the adventure will continue. Nature has many lessons, and there will always be challenges. We must be ready to face them together, with courage and kindness." The villagers agreed. They promised to protect the forest, respect the river, and follow Ravi's teachings. Children continued to visit Ravi's tree, learning from him, while adults applied his wisdom in farming, building, and caring for animals. Ravi's influence grew beyond the village, and travelers passing by came to learn from him as well. Ravi looked around at the smiling faces, the glowing lanterns, and the beautiful forest. He knew that his journey, which began as a simple choice to live in a tree, had changed the lives of everyone around him. The village had become stronger, wiser, and more united. As the night deepened, Ravi climbed to the highest branch of his tree. He looked at the stars shining above, feeling calm and happy. He realized that living differently, respecting nature, and helping others had brought more joy than he could have imagined. He whispered softly to himself, "I will continue to learn, to teach, and to protect. This tree is not just my home. It is a place of courage, wisdom, and hope for everyone." And from that day forward, Ravi's story spread far and wide. The boy who once was mocked for living in a tree became a hero, a teacher, and an inspiration. People remembered that courage, kindness, and wisdom could come from the most unexpected places. The village thrived, the forest flourished, and Ravi's life in the tree remained a symbol of hope and learning for generations to come.